Usually a Mega Evolution acts as the centerpiece of your team in Pokemon Champions, whether it enables a broken strategy or is just a really strong, really bulky damage dealer. But a type of Mega that is oft overlooked is the rare Support Mega. Not you. Manectric can lower physical attack with its Intimidate, as well as lower special attack with its Fast Snarl, while Mega Scovillain can use Rage Powder to redirect attacks toward itself and burn them with Spicy Spray. We'll be pairing them with a couple setup sweepers like Primarina and Komodo, and seeing how well they can do. Game 1 we're up against that Archaludon Cybertron team that has kind of taken over the lower tier Master Ball rank games, except my opponent has swapped out the Dragonite for a Komodo, which is interesting, as they lead off with their Rancor and I lead off with my Komodo and Manectric. So we're going to Mega Evolve immediately because I expected the Archaludon to come in and use an Electroshot, which I would redirect with Lightning Rod, but it didn't lead, so I'm just down to go for the Mega and get the Intimidate off here to lower the damage from the Basket Legion, as the Pelipper just goes for Wide Guard, which is a little strange. I think they're just expecting me to click Clanging Scales for some reason. As they just go for Wave Crash into my Manectric, I live on 10 HP because I am pretty bulky, and they take recoil damage, and we are able to go for the Volt Switch and just barely knock it out turn 1, so that's a really good turn 1 there. Relicanth is going to go down. Why is it called Relicanth? What? That's interesting. Yeah, we switch out and we go into King Gambit here. As now my Komodo is just going to click Clangorous Soul and set up and get ready to sweep. So now if I can eliminate the Pelipper, I can actually just click Clanging Scales and win. So we get our leftovers healing back, and my opponent was so shook by the turn 1 that they actually just forfeited immediately, so I didn't even get to sweep. Kinda disappointing. But it is what it is. Yeah. Anyways, let's go on to a real game. Game 2, we're up against a Mega Frostlass Glaceon Snow Core with a Roserade in the back, interestingly. I haven't seen anyone use that yet. Unfortunately, it doesn't come to this game, so I didn't actually get to find out what it was supposed to do. So we lead off into their Snow Core, as they're going to Mega Evolve and set up the Snow. As I'm going to go ahead and also Mega Evolve with my Manectric here, because I do want to outspeed the Frostlass. Because Mega Frostlass outspeeds base Manectric, but Mega Manectric outspeeds Mega Frostlass. So we're going to Mega Evolve. We're going to get our Intimidate, which ends up being pretty useless, but the main reason we did this is that we are going to be clicking Snarl and lowering the damage that both of their Pokemon are doing. So we go for Snarl, do a good chunk to Frostlass, as we actually get a crit on the Glaceon, which doesn't matter too much, I don't think. We drop both their special attack, and now the Frostlass is going to go for Blizzard, and do pretty modest damage compared to what it would usually do. I'm actually going to survive 2 of those with my Manectric there. As Glaceon goes for the Freeze Dry, which is super effective into Primarina, but it only does about half after the Snarl, which is good. So we're able to eat our Citrus Berry, and now we're going to go for the Calm Mind to further lower damage from them and also boost our own damage so we can get set up and start sweeping. So my recording's going to glitch out a little bit there, but yeah. My opponent goes for Protect to block the Snarl, as I just go for the Volt Switch into the Glaceon. Luckily don't miss because of any slow cloak shenanigans. As we're going to come back out and bring in Sinistcha here, which I was pretty comfortable doing, because I want to heal the Primarina, and also they have lowered damage, so I think Sinistcha can survive this Blizzard. Unfortunately, Helpa Joe just dies instantly because we do get crit, which is unfortunate, but Sinistcha kind of did his job. So now I can just bring in another Pokemon here for free, basically, and just start pressuring. We go for the Hyper Voice. The Frostlass protected, but we are going to be able to finish off the Glaceon from that range of health from the Volt Switch, and Glaceon's going to go down. So now we bring in Manectric again. This is a little risky considering they have a King Gambit, but they do bring in Sneasler. So my Intimidate's going to go off, but it is going to activate the White Herb and reset that attack, and also double its speed from the Unburdened proc. So here I protect on the Primarina against a Dire Claw or Fake Out, as I do go for Fake Out, which is good for me, because I click Volt Switch again into the Sneasler to get some damage on it. And now we're going to switch out and go into our King Gambit to threaten the Frostlass. So, as they just go for Aurora Veil, which is going to slow me down a little bit, but it shouldn't end up mattering too much because my team is pretty strong and I am set up with Primarina. So they withdraw, go to their King Gambit, and I'm like, oh shit, I just switched out of my King Gambit and brought in Manectric to lower the damage on Sneasler. So I'm going to be giving this thing a free attack boost, unfortunately. So up goes Kingambit's attack. Sneasler goes for Die Claw, and we do live because of the Intimidate, which is really nice, because now we get to go for the Hyper Voice and do some good damage, bring Sneasler down to 4% because of Aurora Veil. It saved it. Fortunately for me, it's in Sucker Punch range for later, so I'm not too afraid of that. They do withdraw, getting rid of their Unburden, and they bring in Frostlass, as I just bring in my Kingambit here, expecting like an Iron Head or something. We just go for Protect with Manectric to protect ourselves, and Kingambit does go for Sucker Punch, I think, into Manectric here, but it's not going to work out. So the snow goes away. My opponent miscounted their turns on their snow and brought Frostlass in too early. But yeah, go for the Sucker Punch Thunderbolt double up into the Kingambit, which is actually a misplay on my end because I shouldn't have Sucker Punched and risked the speed tie. I should have just gone for damage at Kowtow because Aurora Veil is up, so that little bit of extra damage might end up mattering. As now they're going to double my Manectric and it's going to go down, but it's okay because it did its job for this game and I don't need it anymore. We bring in the Primarina as the Frostlass goes for Protect, anticipating my Sucker Punch, as my Primarina also goes for Protect, anticipating the opposing Kingambit Sucker Punch. As neither of our Kingambits actually end up attacking the partner Pokemon, and we just Kowtow Cleave each other here for good damage. So Kowtow Cleave comes out, and my opponent actually lives on 1 HP, so that Sucker Punch earlier kinda screwed me over here. They do run out of Aurora Veil, as I go for Sucker Punch into my partner Primarina, so that's going to go down, as I also go for Sucker Punch into their partner Frostlass. So this is also going to go down. So me and my opponent are kind of having like a neurological link here. We're making the same plays with our Kingambits 2 turns in a row. So now it's Kingambit versus the world, but I do have Sucker Punch and they're both one-shot. So Sneasler goes for Fake Out here, and the reason I didn't Protect is because I knew for a fact that he would either Protect or Fake Out on my Sucker Punch. So now it's time to play everyone's favorite game, Sucker Punch Prediction with Kingambit. So the Sneasler goes for Protect, and the opposing Kingambit goes for Sucker Punch, trying to snuff out mine, as fortunately I just go for the Kowtow Cleave into the Kingambit, knock it out. We do get that turn correct, but now it's just me staring down a Sneasler that will one-shot me easily with a close combat. So I reveal Protect here, as my opponent reveals that he actually is just going to go for close combat, predicting me to not attack him with Sucker Punch. Now the opponent goes for Protect, anticipating my Sucker Punch. So we're kind of going back and forth here, as I just go for Protect, predicting his Protect. So now that that's failed, I get to go for Protect again? Is this making sense? Yeah, my opponent is going for close combat again, and now I mix it up. I go for the Sucker Punch, we land, and we knock out the Sneasler, so Kingambit is able to pry a win from the jaws of defeat, and we are able to win this game. So GG's to my opponent. I can't read that name, but GG's. Really good stuff from Kingambit there. I was really proud of making all those plays right. So on to the next. Game 3, we're up against a whole lot of physical attackers, so this is the perfect time to whip out the Mega Scovillain and just burn everything. As my opponent goes for the Lopunny Vanillix lead, sniping my Komodo here, trying to Blizzard it to death before it can do anything. As my opponent is going to Mega Evolve and go for the Mega Lopunny Fake Out into my Komodo, most likely. As we also Mega Evolve with our Scovillain and put on our Spicy Spray ability, so that we burn anyone who touches us. Kind of the most busted ability I've ever heard of in my entire life, by the way. That's like ROM hack fanfiction level of ability there. So we go for the Protect, as the Mega Lopunny does use Fake Out into my Komodo, as expected. Probably Fake Out Blizzard combo is what I was expecting, as they do go for Blizzard. And they do Blizzard into my Scovillain, so they do get burned. And now I'm praying that I can hit the Overheat here, because I need to knock this thing out so Komodo can sweep easily. As we do connect the Overheat, and we're going to knock out the Vanillix, and even if it was Focus Sash, it would still die the next turn to burn. Huh? Not the next turn, at the end of the turn. Excuse me. We're going to drop our special attack, and Vanillix is going to go down. So now in comes Baskia Legion, and this is the most free Rage Powder I've ever seen in my entire life. So I'm going to go for Rage Powder with the Scovillain, redirect away any attacks or disruption moves into my Scovillain, as they actually go for Encore into my Komodo, but it gets redirected. So I would have been locked into Protect there, and that would have been really bad. but fortunately Scovillain is the GOAT, and he allows my Komodo to set up for free here. So now we're looking pretty good. We lose a little HP, but that's totally fine, because I took no damage, and I could just keep clicking Rage Powder until Scovillain goes down. So we go for Rage Powder again. Become the center of attention, as the Lopunny is actually now slower than my Komodo, by the way, because of the clanging scales. We reveal the Citrus Berry on the Basculegion as they eat it and become just barely not two-shot. They go for the triple axle, we avoid it. Fortunately, I think, for them, so they don't get burned because they missed. As they do knock out my Scovillain with the last respects. So the Basculegion's going to get burned before it goes down, and yeah, we're just going to heal a little bit more with our leftovers here. Start adding up the burn chip as we now go into Cup of Joe, my Sinistcha, to heal all the way back up. And Sinistcha also has Rage Powder, which I think my opponent expected, so they actually withdraw here and go into Aegislash, because it actually hard walls my Komodo. So this is a good play from them. The Basculegion protects to stall another turn, as I just go for a worthless Rage Powder on my Cup of Joe. And my Clanging Scales here is going to do pretty little damage into the Aegislash, and it actually hard walls me because I'm Clanging Scales or a Spear. Those are my only attacks. So now I'm expecting the Wide Guard from Aegislash because they do commonly carry that, and it makes a lot of sense that you would bring it in there on the Clanging Scales. So I just go for the switch into King Gambit to punish the Aegislash and get rid of it so I can sweep, as they do go for Wide Guard. So the Clangorous Soul actually comes out here just as a flex play. This is kind of a worthless boost, but I do boost again. So yeah, my opponent is kind of in an urgent state right now. They have to get rid of this Komodo or they're just going to lose. So they have to hope for a crit, something to go right. As the burn tick is starting to add up here, I go for the Protect, predicting the double up, as they reveal that they are actually attacking here and not going for Wide Guard, just going for the Shadow Sneak into Komodo, hoping that it's enough damage together with the last respects here to knock it out. But unfortunately they do 0 damage because I protected, and King Gambit's going to go for the Kowtow and eliminate the Aegislash. So now the game is pretty much wraps at this point, because now I can just click Clanging Scales with 0 repercussions. The Lopunny can come in and fake out, but that doesn't really do much of anything. So they bring in the Lopunny, as the Basculegion actually goes for Aqua Jet on my Sucker Punch, so they kind of outplayed me there. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because I can just knock it out with Clanging Scales. As I just go for Aura Sphere just to use the move. I like Aura Sphere, I don't know. I just didn't want to click the Clanging Scales again. So now we got the leftovers chip healing, and my opponent is going to forfeit here because the game is completely lost. So yeah, GG's to Majin. That was a pretty good showcase of Scovillain's support potential for Komodo, I think. So go next. And for our last game today, we're up against Mega Golurk Trick Room with a Superior in the back. Pretty cool. They lead off with the Golurk and the Mimikyu, which is interesting because Mimikyu isn't really seen too much as a Trick Room setter, but I think it's pretty good. So we're going to immediately go for the Mega Evolution with Scovillain here because I'm facing down 2 physical Pokemon, and I don't really have an answer to Trick Room other than just stalling it out. So I do want to potentially punish this Golurk for touching me, as they do Mega Evolve, so I think, oh shit, they're going to attack me. I might not live. Oh no. As they actually end up going for the Protect, so, I don't know, playing with my cortisol a little bit by Mega Evolve into protecting pointlessly. As we just go for Leech Seed to try and get some survivability. Unfortunately, this Leech Seed doesn't really end up mattering too much, as we just go for the Hyper Voice with Primarina, trying to knock out the Golurk and break the Mimikyu's Disguise. So we break the Disguise here. So next turn we're going to be able to do pretty big damage to it, as the Mimikyu is going to set up Trick Room. So now the Golurk is going to be able to click a big move into one of my guys. So I'm like, okay, I need to protect my Primarina. It's kind of my win con. I got to Rage Powder and burn this Golurk here so it doesn't do much of anything. So we go for the Rage Powder. And my opponent is going to go for the Poltergeist, as they're going to grab my Scovillain and hit me with it and do a lot of damage. So that does like 80%, as the Spicy Spray is going to come out and burn the Golurk, fortunately for me. as we also go for Hyper Voice again just to get damage on both opponents. We don't go for Calm Mind yet, but we do next turn, I'm pretty sure. So the Mimikyu actually goes for Shadow Claw as well. So I thought Scovillain was going to survive a little longer, but unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, they decided to double target. So they burned themselves on the Mimikyu as well. So now both of my opposing Pokemon are not going to be doing very much. So I bring in the King Gambit. They would draw the Mimikyu to get rid of the Leech Seed, as they bring in the Farigiraf, a decent switch. So I go for Protect, as the opposing Golurk is actually going to go for the Headlong Rush and hit me through Protect because of Unseen Fist, and it's going to do absolutely nothing because of the Unseen Fist nerf and the burn, lowering its attack by half. So King Gambit is sitting pretty, and we're just going to go for the Calm Mind and boost our stats here. And now I'm a little concerned because there's a Farigiraf in front of me, and a lot of them carry Hyper Voice and Imprison. So I'm like, uh-oh, is he gonna like restrict my Hyper Voice? So we bring in the Sinistcha here to heal up as we take another Headlong Rush. Does about a third, which is more than I was expecting because it was a crit. That's a crit, by the way. So yeah, doing absolutely nothing with their Mega Evolution, as they just go for the Thunderbolt, surprisingly. That is a move I run on my Farigiraf sometimes. We take about a third. We go for the Moonblast just in case they imprison my Hyper Voice. We do 80% because we're +1, and now we're set to just click Hyper Voice because I see they did not imprison. So they go for the Protect. As now they go for Poltergeist into my Cuppajoe and they miss, which is unfortunate because my Cuppajoe has a Kasib Berry, which lowers the damage of ghost moves, and I wanted to see how the interaction worked because Poltergeist doesn't work if you have no item. And I wanted to see if Poltergeist would actually still damage you if you ate the Kasib Berry before it damaged you, because I don't actually know how that interaction works. Let me know in the comments if you know. Anyways, we're going to heal up with Life Dew, as the Trick Room's going to end and they bring in Serperior. So this thing's looking like a threat. Even through a Calm Mind, it does about half, as they're going to get a +2 boost from the Contrary. As we go for the Citrus Berry recovery here, even though the next Leaf Storm is going to knock me out. We go for the Machagacha here just in case of a random ally switch. I want to knock this Farigiraf out, get it out of the way, so I can Sucker Punch with King Gambit later. As now we're just going to go for the Hyper Voice, which I went for despite it being a resist, because I didn't want to potentially miss the Farigiraf and leave it alive, so I just went for that as a guaranteed knockout. The Leftovers recovery on the Serperior comes in, and back comes in the Mimikyu, which isn't going to be doing much of anything. So I actually withdraw my Primarina that I already set up and bring in Gambit here to resist the Leaf Storm, as they just miss it anyway. It didn't really matter, but yeah, now we're going to eat the Kasib Berry on the Shadow Claw and take literally 0 damage because it's burned and resisted with the Kasib Berry. So now I'm going to use Hex, which is a nice little option on Sinistcha, I think, when you combine it with a Mega Scovillain, because it's burning everything, and you do double damage with Hex on burned opponents. So Mimikyu's going to go down there, Serperior's going to get some leftovers, and now the game is over as my opponent forfeits because they do not see a win con here because they missed their Leaf Storm. So GG's to Zango. So that's going to be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed these games. I wanted to show a spotlight on some more supportive Megas, and I think they did a pretty good job. So if you want to use this team, the spreads are on screen right now, and I'll check you guys next time.